China holds trillions in US debt and has been pursuing a policy of using it to manipulate the value of their currency. They hold trillions of European and other debt as well. There are periods of time when they will sell and others when they buy, but it's all part of their grand plan. What if we encounter friction and tension and China decides to sell it all? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to look at China, we're going to look at the US. Let's begin. This information is directly from the Treasury's own website, major foreign holders of Treasury securities in billions of dollars. This information is from December of 2017, and you will see that China is in first place, Japan in second, accumulating over $2 trillion worth between the two, and a grand total of over $6 trillion. Now, the average person, the average individual, even in the financial world, will tell you that this is not a concern. In fact, it's a good thing. However, you are always going to be reliant on those particular individuals or countries or businesses, whoever it is, to buy at the rate that they are in order for everything to remain status quo. What if something changes? What if we aren't getting the yield that we're used to? What if we start to have tensions on either side? Suddenly, these numbers could decline. And that presents us with a major issue. So we'll talk about that today. Let's get into this. China added to bond investors' jitters on Wednesday as traders braced for what they feared could be the end of a 3-decade bull market, something that nobody wants to have happen. Senior government officials in Beijing reviewing the nation's foreign exchange holdings have recommended slowing or halting purchases of U.S. treasuries. Now, they had to backtrack and come out and say, no, that's not the policy, that's not what we're pursuing, we are not doing that, don't listen to them. However, the information did come out, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. We don't know if it's true, but at any moment, they could sell. So it doesn't matter what's official or not. The news comes as global debt markets were already selling off amid signs that central banks are starting to step back after years of bond buying stimulus. Yields on the 10-year treasuries rose for a fifth day, touching the highest since March. Think about this. China holds $3.1 trillion worth of foreign exchange reserves. And they are essentially wondering, where do we keep our money? So they keep it here. And one of the reasons they do this is simply to have a liquid investment that they can manipulate their currency with. So it offers them a very attractive means of doing that. If they want to pull their money back, they could bring it through the financial system, take it back in. But at the same time, they are sending their currency offshore. And they manipulate their currency. And all countries, of course, do this to different degrees. But China, holding $3.1 trillion, is absolutely massive. Okay? Let's look at this. Dumping U.S. debt. Now think about what could happen with the global trade tensions or actions. We can call it like that. And essentially, think about what would occur. Because of all the tariffs, steel and aluminum, that's going to affect China. This has rattled financial markets and stirred fears that some trading partners might retaliate by dumping U.S. treasuries. It's a sign of something that could happen. That's all I'm saying. Should China, Japan, and other nations which have recycled their trade dollars through their treasury holdings suddenly decide to whittle them down, markets could be in for a rough ride. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to sell all trillion each country. Of course not. They could just start the trend, and you would have a major sell-off. Should China do this, they are basically engaging in a currency war that, of course, is happening on both sides. It's not just one side. Now, they're basically, if you read the articles, they talk about, no, this will never happen. Why would they want to shoot themselves in the foot? Why would they want to do this to themselves? Because obviously they have so much skin in the game. A lot is at stake here for China as well. They can't just sell them off and decide to, invest somewhere else. It doesn't really work like that, I understand. However, when we are talking about tensions on either side, people will act erratically. People will do things in order to make themselves known. If they could find another place to park that money, they will. They will do that. It's a retaliation that nobody really wants to see in the markets because obviously the domino effect would be incredible in a very short period of time. China's holdings of US debt is down 10% from their peak. Their peak level was attained in November 2013. U.S. government debt held by entities in China peaked at 1.3 trillion in November 2013. I'll show you that chart in just a moment here. And you can see that as time goes on, the U.S. accumulates more and more and more debt, and you need more purchases, more countries, more companies coming out and buying up that debt. So you have a company like Apple, for example, which buys U.S. debt. You have countries that buy U.S. debt. Everybody's buying U.S. debt. Everybody's, of course, buying debt of different companies out there in different countries and everything else. The debt included, at this time, 2013, $5 trillion in intragovernmental debt. And I talk about this all the time, which is money the Treasury has borrowed out of the federal trust funds, such as Social Security. I just did a video about that. And 12 trillion in debt held by the public, which includes marketable U.S. Treasury securities such as Treasury bills, notes, and bonds. So they basically have these massive piles of cash that they take from one area, put it into another, make everything look good today. Just has to look good today, not 4 years from now, just today. So we'll see what happens here, but things can change truly in an instant. This is just a chart form showing you here where it peaked out, and we've seen a decline ever since. They could easily ramp up. In 2017, they've been definitely have been purchasing here, but it's been sort of stagnant within the last couple months. So we'll see what happens on either end here. I think there's maybe a little bit of concern, a little bit of see and wait kind of attitude. So they're holding steady at this time, but we'll see. Looking at this next chart, top 10 foreign holders of U.S. Treasury securities. You'll see this in a chart form. I just wanted to bring that to you very quickly. Obviously, very clearly, China, Japan, right at the top of the list. Now, Japan, on the other hand, they have been reducing their holdings over the past few years. It hasn't been too significant on a shorter timeline, but when you look at it, think about it. Basically, right at the beginning of 2015, up until present day, they've been selling. And this isn't a good sign for those who are relying on what's happening with U.S. debt. Now, the Japanese have been busy with their printing press and basically buying up absolutely everything. And so they have been selling off from U.S. treasuries. And we'll have to see how it unfolds. It's ultimately a bad sign if a country like China, if a country like Japan is selling off, because that means that the market has to come up and pick up the pieces. Who will do that? Especially if they're not going to get the returns that they were expecting. If they're going to get less and less and less, and there's more risk involved, then we have a big problem. That's what's really going on here. You can see that the bull market clearly is over. It's gone too far. It's gone too long. And how long will it take before these countries start to say, maybe we don't want to sell yet, but we're not going to necessarily buy anymore? That could be a very serious issue because there's more and more debt being accumulated. They need more debt to be purchased. All right. And just switching gears a little bit, looking at China. China January new loans surged to a record 2.9 trillion yuan, blow past forecast. China's banks extended a record, think about the equivalent, $458 billion worth in new yuan loans in January That was 5 times the previous month. So, what happens here? Well, ultimately, they can make excuses all they want. But you see times when countries will extend far beyond what they should. And this, unfortunately, is really, let's just say it's a bad scenario. You have a problem with liquidity and it's drying up. Liquidity is drying up. As a result, central banks need to come in and they need to print. They need that stimulus. And it isn't a good sign when you see this type of activity taking place where lending rules are being relaxed and more money is being given out. And you see alternative mortgage lenders and you see these payday loans and cash advance and everything is just popping up everywhere, looking to give more people more money, whether they're able to pay back or not. It doesn't matter. They're just trying to put more and more money. And that's a terrible sign for what's to come. We can see that it isn't just the US, it isn't just Canada, the UK, Australia, and others. It is in China, it's in different countries that are out there that are really pushing far beyond their means. It's not going to end well, of course, but this is the way it goes. So that's all for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support the channel, so I appreciate that very much. This channel now has over 90,000 subscribers. Definitely you want to join the 90,000, and all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button here so you can become one of those who sees new information every single day. I'm posting videos on here about different countries around the world, about different topics, and I hope that you'll join me. Again, last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know you'll find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can flip through these books at Amazon. If you go to the links in the description, you'll see the link that will take you to Amazon. You can get this look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care.